Happy Monday, March 27th, 2023. And today, I don't even know where to begin. There's so much going on. We did not have, dropping things, sorry. It's like the banks going down. We did not have a bank crash over the weekend. We did have, what was it? The SVB bank was bought up by somebody at a lot less than what it was worth. Whatever, just shuffling numbers around again, rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic's all they're doing right now. It's a little windy out, so I apologize if it gets a little bad. But I don't want to be an alarmist. Just kind of want to tell it like it is, how I feel. I don't feel good about the markets right now. I'm seeing too many things that are kind of coalescing and coming together to where, it's kind of the same thing, isn't it? Coming together where doesn't look good for the dollar, let's just say that, or the Federal Reserve note. If it were a real dollar based on silver, it would be fine. However, it's not, so probably not good for the Fed note. Jay Powell last week is talking about, we're going to keep raising, going to keep raising, going to keep raising. And they're going to put that narrative out there to try to strengthen the dollar around the world and fool everybody like they have in the past that they're really going to do something and they're going to strengthen that dollar. However, all the indicators are saying that no, that's not going to happen. You look at the bond rates and they're pricing in about 1.5% lower than the current cycle, and they're kind of pointing towards June to where they're going to be done cutting, or maybe even lower interest rates at the Fed. So the markets are already chiming in. You know, the sentiment is that they can't keep raising rates. And the other thing is, the bigger issue, I think, is that you've got all these BRICS nations. You've got, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, looks like maybe Saudi Arabia, and several other countries trying to come together in an alliance almost that's a standard outside the dollar system. And there's a good video, I can't remember the name of the Crowley, maybe. That's an interesting name. Starts with an M, a lady. Anyway, she did a great interview, and I think it was on Fox Business, to where we are about at the point to lose the dollar standard, the reserve currency status, and all it takes is Saudi Arabia to start taking something besides dollars in oil. I don't even think it takes that. I think that might be the final pin, because you've got the Russians already bypassing that system, making deals with China. And if you get all these BRICS nations together, the economic engine that is, and if they start trading in something besides dollars, whatever it is, it could be Chinese yuan, rubles, gold, Bitcoin, who knows? It really doesn't matter, but it's something that is not the dollar. And the only thing that's maintained the dollar's strength over these years is that it was based in oil, the energy, the lifeblood of the economy, the world economy. And if you got it, everybody needs oil. And so if you've got to buy oil with dollars, there's that artificial demand, or at least not artificial, but a real demand for dollars. But it is kind of artificial because it was backed up by the U.S. military. And if you got out of line and you said you're going to take something besides dollars, the military would roll in and take you out. Just look at Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein, for example. That's not happening now, even though you're seeing drone strikes and, launches into Syria. I think these are just death throes of a dying economic system. We are the Roman Empire. I don't even want to say we, because this isn't our government. This isn't our system. It's not what we wanted. It's not our ideal, this America that we're seeing right now. It's really not that constitutional form of government that we think and we've been taught in school that we have. What we're seeing is an empire that is oppressed, that has military bases all over the world to basically keep order, keep control, maintain that system, that empire. Well, if you're not productive enough to back up your currency, which we are not, because the United States, all it does is deficit spend, and all you have to, if you're not able to do that and back it up, you got to do it with force. And I don't think they can do that anymore with the military. I think there's a lot of people that aren't gonna follow orders anymore. So that's the situation you're in. You're watching it crumble right before your eyes, and this is the kind of thing that can happen very quickly. Look at the current budget proposed by the Biden administration, and Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, was questioned in front of Congress. I think it was Ron Johnson, I think he's a senator out of Wisconsin, was questioning her and just calling it out and saying, so you think deficits don't matter? I mean, but that's projected to go to $50 trillion. I mean, how is that sustainable? And she makes up all the, well, as long as this is in line and that's in line. It's like, no, you can't keep running up credit card debt and keep getting more credit cards and transferring the debt. Problem is, those payments are continually due. They're due, and you're not going to be able to sustain it. And before this goes out, it's essentially an unsustainable system in which we find ourselves right now. So now more than ever, given everything that's happening in the macro environment, it's important, so important, to not think that it's going to continue and be business as usual, because it's not. Other countries are saying that it's not going to continue this way. They're making moves. They're not just playing along anymore. So you may see this alliance of maybe European nations, most European nations, the United States, maybe Japan, kind of aligning together, trying to defend this old dollar-based system, where most of the rest of the world is going to align and say, no, we're not going to play along. We're going to do our own thing, and we're going to have a different form of money that we're going to use, because we're tired of you manipulating everything we do. And all you have to do is look at the example of Ukraine, what's going on right now. First thing that happened, the United States comes in and starts putting sanctions on in the SWIFT system and the dollar-based system and all those machinations. And what's Russia do? It says, okay, fine, you can sanction us all we want. We're still going to sell our raw materials. We're going to sell our goods, and there are markets out there that want them, and so that's what they've done. And we'll take different forms of payment. We're not going to have to take the dollar. And what are you going to do? And you see this all-out push to try and get Russia into a war and trying to get into a war with Russia, but I don't think it's going to work this time. I think people are awake enough, and nations are awake enough to where they're not going to fall into that trap and be pushed into war. So it's an interesting time where we find ourselves, and it could go very quickly. Things could really unwind. You see it in our banking system, and it could really unwind fast. And I shouldn't say everybody, but too many people are invested in that system. Too many people are locked into that system and dependent upon that system. Hey, you know, my retirement's locked up into this Ponzi, this vampire casino. What do I do? You got to make that decision for yourself, but I would not want to have any of my energy locked up in it to where I can't control it. Utilize those tools, those weapons that are out there, those economic weapons that can free you, give you some sort of peace that can't be driven to zero and manipulated. Something you can hold in your own possession. Gold, silver have always been those things. We now have digital assets called cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Litecoin, the gold and the silver standard of cryptocurrencies. Been running well over 10 years, both networks. You can hold value and transfer value uninterrupted. No one can stop you from doing that. No bank, no government can stop you from doing that. So it's important to start looking at those assets and looking at them now. At a bare minimum, I would have cash in my possession. That will at least work for a little bit if this whole thing locks up. So again, I don't want to be an alarmist, you know. I just want to be left alone. I just want to live out here in peace. But that's going to become more and more difficult to do, I think. And I think it's important to talk about it, to think about it, because I see it happening right in front of us. I've seen it happening for a long time. We papered it over since 2007, 2008, and now here we are doing it again, backstopping banks when they don't deserve to be solvent. I mean, that's not capitalism. We think we live in a capitalistic society, but that's not capitalism. That's the government choosing winners and losers. Take a hard look at where we are, how things are, where we're going, and realize it could go really fast. It could go really quickly, right down the porcelain. So look into those things. Again, don't be scared, be prepared, and get those things in your possession. Think about the things you need and get them. Very important. And this is similar to a message I usually say every day in some way. But I just have that feeling, that gut feeling, and I always trust myself, and I tell everybody else to trust yourself. How do you feel inside? What are you feeling? Do you think it's close? Do you think we're it's getting close to that moment? I think it is. I really do. And it's important to not waste time. Don't be that person that sits back and says, oh, I was going to take the money out, next week. Or I was going to do it tomorrow. Do it today. You think you should do it, don't wait. If you think you need to put it somewhere and diversify a little bit and get a little protection and hedge yourself, then you should do it right now. There's no better time than right now. because at some point things could lock up real quick. We saw the CFTC today, and I'm seeing this everywhere. SEC, the CFTC, it's almost like they're battling for control of the crypto space. The CFTC today sued Binance, probably the biggest exchange in the world right now, suing them for all kinds of things. I mean, whatever they want to make up on a daily basis, but they're trying to control those exchanges, those gateways into crypto, from the old system, the vampire casino, into the new system of sound money, the digital sound money. They're trying to control that. They're trying to regulate that. They're trying to make it difficult for you to get into that and maybe even get out of that. So it's important right now, if you've got a feeling that you need to be involved in the crypto space and have some digital money in your possession, to probably do it, probably get it. Now is as good a time as any, better than tomorrow, that's for sure. So watch what's happening. I don't know, we're dealing with trillions and trillions of dollars, and you look at the entire crypto market cap, and it's just barely over $1 trillion. There's a lot of money out there sloshing around, and that crypto is going to soak it up. At least it's a safe haven, one of the safe havens, or a safe harbor in this turbulent sea of trauma in which we find ourselves bouncing around in right now. So look at those assets that they can protect you, and don't wait until tomorrow. All right, hope you have a wonderful Monday. It is, again, March 27th, 2023. Better trust yourself. Trust yourself in this time. I just got a feeling it's here. All right. Love you all. Hope you have a wonderful day.